What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Brock. And today we have a very special guest straight from Fed headquarters. We have Todd. It's Joerchel, right?
Todd Joerchel. I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce it myself. It's all good. I should just call it, change it to the tournament master. That's what everybody knows me as.
The tournament master. I remember you told me it was supposed to be pronounced that way once.
I think it's supposed to be pronounced Joerchel is the real German way to pronounce it. Yes.
I was just trying to be cool when I failed again. But so thanks for joining us, Todd. Today we're talking about the game changer himself, Chaos.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, the indestructible.
Indestructible Chaos. Yeah, one of my absolute favorites. So yeah, thank you for having me on this episode.
Absolutely. We're glad we can have you on finally.
I can still remember, getting the phone call from my friend Rob because he got the game. So he always ordered it by mail. And he goes, "You wouldn't believe this guy. He's got 3 finishers and he's got a -5 power." And he was just going on about it. I'm like, so, the next day, instead of going home, I went to his house after school and we rolled out a card and he's like, "There's another guy, Destructon 3000. And he's just as, crazy and bad." I'm like, how is this guy a wrestler? Like, both these guys were so awesome. And Chaos lived up to the hype.
Yeah. Well, I said when I started my Fed, I started when after 2093 came out, and so when I bought everything all together that was out at that point. So I started with Chaos and Alpha Force, like in my Fed, so I didn't build up to them. So they were always there from the beginning. So to me, like that's the early days of GWF for me.
Nice.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brock.
It was a similar scenario for us too. We got everything up to 2107 all at once. After we had the starter set, and then we got everything up to 2107 at our first Galacticon. And then I remember just flipping through the cards on the way home. We got like hundreds of cards. And I stopped on this one. I'm like, wow. Then we just kind of hurried up to get to them just because we had done so much, so many incorrect things with just the starter set because we didn't realize it was a continual story. We just thought you just bought more wrestlers kind of thing. Didn't realize that people aged out and stuff like that. So then we just kind of sped up just to try and get to Chaos. And he did live up to all the expectations.
Yeah, I'm glad I started off, because if I would have started off like Todd, I wouldn't have had the history. Like Thantos wouldn't have had the runs and everything, because Chaos, as soon as he came in, he dominated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I take up my handy little blue card, he currently is an 11-time heavyweight champion and a 2-time tag team champion. Once with Matador, once with Darkos.
Darkos, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I had the thing called Battle Bowl. So I take 32 completely random wrestlers and shuffle their cards and deal them out into teams. Mm-hmm. He got paired with Darkos. And the winning team gets a shot at the tag titles. And Darkos had a great offense on level 2, put it down 3 times, And so he just put him down and Chaos would finish him.
That works. Yeah, that is a good combo right there. Yeah, because I think he had like a +2 finisher or something like that. But yeah, if he had the good level 2 offense. Yeah.
He only had a down and a pin, so they worked pretty good as a tag team.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I have to go. I have to dig through and find all my records there, but I do remember Chaos had something like 20-something reigns in my Fed, because he'd get the rematch and he would like eventually lose it, and then he'd like win it right back, and then go on long runs. But I forget how many times it was, but he definitely, it was double digits. I think it was approaching 20 for me. But I always just like booking him in there. Anyway, I liked having like the dominant champion, and I mean he was great. Yeah. And then he always, no matter who you put him up against, he'd put on a good match. I ran some big tournaments with him, and he would invariably lose. He wouldn't necessarily win that. Like he'd win a lot over time, but he could lose then too, with the right offensive guy against him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. His level 2 offense is kind of standard. But once he gets you down, that triple finisher, at least it's a 0. There's nothing added to it. So it doesn't make him completely broken. But he's definitely tough.
But yeah, 4, 5, 6. Now, some people say bow, some people say bow. I always said bow of defeat.
Me too.
Me too. what's a bow of defeat?
Yeah, I know.
Unless there was an arrow of victory. I don't know.
And he did have the infamous 2-choice D, which on level 2 offense, which is, against the rules. I think we fixed that in the reimagined card to
Nice.
make that the correct way. But
What did you switch it to?
I think we switched it to a 3-choice D. So I think a lot of times when we had a lot of those ones that were kind of could go either way, like I think we tended to go with the stronger version of it. Hold on, I'm gonna check right now. No, actually, take it back. We did it the other way. We did a 2-choice F. I guess because he was always so powerful. I guess we decided to not go overboard on it. So yeah, it's 2-choice F is what we changed it to on the reimagined.
Yeah,
does anybody not use the choices?
I do.
I didn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody did.
Nobody did
the first couple cons. Nobody used it. The choice, like the charts or choice D. Everybody just used straight through. Yeah,
it wasn't until my first con that I was smartened up on it. I think you have to go to Galacticon to learn how to play correctly.
That's true. Absolutely. That's how I learned how the tag thing worked properly, like the choicing up to the next level, things like that. That was like, oh, you don't just reroll on the same level. No.
Well, even that was a new thing that got added in.
Yeah.
Because some of these rolls were like Monopoly, the go to jail thing, like, you can collect money if you go to jail type, everybody would put their money in the middle.
Yeah.
Like, so some of these rules were just house rules that people use, or they were in the rule book and nobody
paid attention to them.
Did the quick scan and off I go playing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You could just start playing so quickly, which is great. But at the same time, you might just skip over how a rule is preferred to be done.
And it's because of simple rules like that. Like Kraken was incredible in the first 24 because he had 3 down suddenly.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chaos was always a top guy. He's won 11 feuds and only lost 2.
Who did he lose a feud to?
Alpha Force.
Makes sense.
In Alpha Force first year, and then he beat him the next 5. And then he just recently lost to Pegasus.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, this is the increased Pegasus, right? The 2101 version. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And I got it all worked out where he's I have my 2106 all set up and ready to go. And yeah, he's going to take on Pegasus again, but he'll probably get crushed now because he drops down. He loses the cube.
Right.
So I'm figuring he'll start to have that slow decline.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm unsure when he retires.
After 2108 is when he retires, or is it 2109? 2109. Because he doesn't go over to Central with everyone.
Yeah. I don't follow this, the storyline too much, but I figured I didn't want him hanging about, like doing a dreadnought.
Right.
I still wanted him to be on top, go out on top.
So you take the guys out of circulation when they really do come out in the Tom's games, or do you kind of play around with it?
Sometimes guys still stick in. Like I'm on 2105 and Iron Maiden still wrestling.
Hey, that's another one of my favorites. So yeah, I'm all for that.
But I've retired guys early just because I'm like, no. And I know, years talking to Tom about that. Like Sectarian only lasted 3 years because he hated him.
I knew you were going to say Sectarian there.
And Vladhammer, he hated a lot of these guys, so he's like, I got to do something with him. And it's understandable. You create a guy, and you're like, you can get rid of him. And
where's that one from?
I asked Tom one time if I could do stuff with Sectarian, like maybe make an official card for him. And Tom's like, yeah, let's see what you got. So I had Sectarian go through a Transevolver, and he came out as Furious George.
There you go.
I made him like a comedy character, like, and so Paul Barnes did the artwork for me, and I think I made 25 copies, gave them out to everybody at Galacticon, and I forgot to keep one for myself.
Oh no, that always happens.
So I never got to use them. But I always liked Sectarian. But anyway, getting back to the chaos. That chaos. Did you guys do anything with the cube? Any storylines with it?
Trying to think. I mean, I tended to play kind of more like a sport based at that point in time, mostly. It was a little less storyline and a little bit more sports based. So I don't think I ever really kind of wrote anything different with them. Obviously, the cube always played into matches, but that's really about it, personally.
Yeah, I did one small storyline that I got from my buddy Rob, and involved Vanity. So when Chaos was fighting in a cage, Vanity ran to ringside and tried to break a piece of the cube off so he can become stronger. And he took a little sliver off it and swallowed it. So that's how I got the upgraded Vanity card.
Nice.
Just a tiny little sliver. That's an increased Vanity.
But what about once it was found out the cube was fake?
Yeah, I'm not.
You don't play by that.
No.
No, I don't blame you.
No, that was, I thought that was, yeah, I'm super powerful now. Suddenly, I'm benching all this much. I'm -5 power. Oh, it was all in my head. Suddenly, I'm weaker. No, that was a storyline I couldn't get behind.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm trying to think of a way to write the cube out.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well,
because it comes out then anyway. Yeah.
I've been trying to bounce that around in my head how to get rid of the cube. I just have it might get permanently stolen, or
does it get kind of like destroyed by some other forces that are in there? Then someone finally is able to destroy it somehow with but then maybe they lose some power too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's I'm trying to work on it. Alpha Force uses his Alpha Force on it and shatter it.
Right. That's just like the Alpha Force uses that on it, but then they both lose all their power and they're just kind of back to normal, which kind of sets up their last cards anyway. So
that's more along the lines of what I was aiming for with them.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I should have really dug up my results after this, but I'm pretty sure Chaos was my first champion when I did that. I think he beat Wolf in the finals there. And yeah, just very, very dominant throughout. I kind of booked him against all the top guys there. I did mention he lost a couple tournaments. I remember I ran this big, what was that? I guess 64-person tournament every year. And in back-to-back years, he lost to Pulsar Prime and Dragon Master.
Oh.
In the second round, which was really awesome. It was really weird, but he lost to both parts of Titan Express. So that I think it did kind of write that in as some type of a thing, in vendetta he had against the Titans after that.
I love when stuff like that works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run a big tournament. It's because I run 3 feds simultaneous, and I run a huge tournament called the Grand Championship at the end of the year, and it's a 132-man tournament. And he's never won it. He's made the final 4 or final 8 every time, but he's never won it. He always gets a fluke knockout.
Well, that's what happens. He's going to win so many matches, but yeah, there's going to be flukes in there. Yeah, and I think his big weakness is, I mean, obviously, if you hit the Alpha Stone and that runs, so that definitely will weaken him a bit. He does only have the 1 down on level 3 normally. Trying to think what other weakness. Yeah, I mean, really, it's the Alpha Stone. If he hits that, because that just doubles the amount of downs there, increases the pin pretty significantly, and it kind of takes away some of his power advantage against a lot of people then too. And then also all those ratings go. Yeah, is he the first guy with all A's? I think he might have been.
I think so.
And then he goes to all B's. I mean, that's a huge thing. If you get that role, it completely changes, the character.
Yeah, currently for me, he's 131 wins and 45 losses.
Okay, that's probably even a lower win percentage than I would think. You'd think normally with that card, but
So he's almost a 4-to-1 win ratio. It's somewhere in that ballpark area. But I ranked my guys, 1 through 5, and I had to add a 5 because of chaos.
Now, is he mostly facing the heavyweights there, or do you have him? Is he facing like a mix of different guys throughout there?
No, it's all top guys.
It's all top guys. Okay, so even guys, I guess if he is facing all top guys, then yeah, okay, that's a good winning percentage then.
Like the weakest guys in that grouping. Like if I run off my top 10 list, Colossus, Janus, Vengeance, Pegasus, Matador's the current champ. I have Santon on there.
Oh, okay.
I use Santon, Son of Sam, which is a card I can't remember someone gave me, but it's the old Commander Sam card, the blue one.
Yeah.
And so they made the like a Son of Sam, which is Commander Sam's actual son.
Right.
And Alpha Force, Bishop Helen, Hercules. So that's the top 10.
That makes sense. Yeah, him and Matador had some really great matches. Again, I think that's kind of goes to, I think, one of the weaknesses he has is if you play against somebody who has the 3 level 3 moves on level 2 offense,
Yep.
like those are the people that can kind of get to him because they get more cracks at actually getting him down because on his level 2 defense is 3 turnarounds normally, and 2 of them are level 2 turnarounds. So you don't want to get him on level 2. Like you really need those 3 level 3 moves on level 2 offense to have a shot on him. I really think.
And to make it funny, because I had they booted Janus out because he was the weak link because he kept losing his feuds against the FDF guys, and so in my huge 132-man tournament, Janus wins the tournament.
Nice. That works out for the story.
That works out great.
And so they kick him out, and he'll be feuding Matador, so he's taking on Matador for the heavyweight title on the next card.
Oh, great!
I'm like, ooh,
that worked out perfectly.
Once in a while, everything aligns.
Yeah,
and it comes out well.
Maybe Janus was just busy with all like 7 of his kids at home, and he was just distracted. I don't know.
He had the Ole Anderson problem. How many kids do you have? 7. Okay. But we can get on to how will we power creep the chaos.
That's a tough call, with him there. But I think we've seen some of that with like Chaos Supreme coming through later on. That was kind of like a power creep version of Chaos.
I was thinking just get rid of the weakness on the stone.
Yeah,
number one, that's huge.
Yeah, if you're to do one thing, that would take care of about 6 things that could potentially go wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Or you could even make one of those finishers a +1 even.
Make them all a +1.
Well,
that'd be a little crazy.
Well, that's what I'm looking right now on the Chaos Supreme one. The couple things that he's got there, like he has no Alpha Stone reversal, so that's one thing he got rid of. The number 6 bow defeat on a roll of 2 to 5 becomes a +2 instead of a 0. So he's getting like the power surge from the Alpha Stone is kind of the thing there. He's got an add 1 move also on level 3 offense, which of course at this time when the original card was created was not a thing. And then I guess his only other weakness here that Tom did give him a much lower death jump, but a C death jump and a B ropes to kind of counteract some of that, and only a -4 power. But like some of those other offensive things he added in definitely, kicked him up another notch there.
There's a few interesting things you could do with them. Or even take away a down on level 3.
Yeah. You don't have any then.
They would have any downs then.
Just a pin.
Yeah.
I think, what was it, the Cyclops? I think later on, I think that was his thing, right? He had no downs. Was it? I think it was like
Yeah, I
if
think
I'm
that
not
was him.
mistaken. Yeah, I think that was him. Yeah, he had like a high pin, but he had no downs. So
On a quick Chaos Supreme note, he went 0-3 against Plethador in his debut for me. Lost 3 straight to Plethador.
wow, I guess Plethora hit him with a death jump. Then I guess.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was trying to get a bunch of people at the comic book store to play. I was going to start a Fed with the Future Shock set when it first came out, and I'm like, I set it up so these guys would win. So I gave them Chaos, and I took Plethador, and then I kept winning. And like, you know more about this game. You're setting yourself up to win. I'm like, really? I'm not.
Really not. I'm trying to drop out.
So it was funny.
Sometimes the dice are funny like that. You never
Yep.
know.
Oh yeah, everybody's got the fluke wins in their promotion, and that's what makes the game interesting.
Yeah, it's how you book around that. That's the fun part. Yeah.
I rarely do I have a fluke win because I always give every wrestler a 1 chance to kick out if I fail a roll.
Okay.
So for a fluke to happen, they got to fail twice.
Okay. It can happen. It can happen.
It does, but it's super rare. But so when it does, it's huge. Because there's nothing worse than having a big title match or something, and then you roll that dreaded double 1 and
Mhm.
and you end up with the reason I put that rule in because I ended up with Tarak and Pulsar as my tag team champions.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that would make me consider some rule changes in my Fed too if that happened. Yeah.
And the fact that they held the belt for 5 title defenses because they both have C rings.
So and they could count it out. Yeah.
Back then, a 9 through 12 was a count out.
That's right. It's an automatic count out. Didn't even have to roll for it. Yeah.
Yep. So they ate a lot of concrete and kept the titles, and I was like, "Damn it! Okay, this is changing."
All right, we gotta throw him in a cage. Kick it out.
2 weeks ago, my streaming Fed that I do on Twitch, I had 3 straight matches end because of a snake eyes roll on a turnbuckle chart that went to a pin. 3 straight matches ended with that.
Wow.
I was like, this is everyone's just like, this just doesn't happen, but it's possible.
Yep. I had that. I think it was a tournament win in like Galacticon 3 or something like that, and it was Lord Nexus versus Thanos in a cage in the finals. Bob Ashby had Thanos, and it was a 1-move match.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos on level 6 offense because Bob won initiative. What is into the turnbuckle?
Yeah.
So he threw Lord Nexus into the turnbuckle. I rolled double 1s, which is you get the knees up. Bob has to roll pin, and he rolls double 1s. And it's a 1-move tournament final.
Wow.
That happened to Jim Steele at one of the tournaments we ran at the comic book store. He drove all the way out from Philadelphia for it. And then that's how his tournament showing went first round.
First round out on
double
one
snake
move.
eyes. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
We had that in the Canada Cup. We were making fun of it because I can't remember who I was wrestling. Brock was in my group, and I won, I think, 4 out of 5 of my matches because my opponents rolled double 1s.
I remember that. I was one of those opponents. That's documented, I think, in photographs. I think Diacourse took pictures of it.
Pins, double 1s. Yeah, win. Pins, double 1.
Man, that's the quickest Canada Cup bracket ever. Then that's
we were done like 45 minutes before everybody else.
But we always have a topic that we go to. Sometimes it's game related, sometimes it's not. So the topic this week that's not game related is metric versus imperial.
Okay.
Because I got this because a little while ago we had Josh and Jeff on.
Yeah.
And he was sending me, just little shots through Messenger. And they're all about, I'm like, oh, just taking a minute. And he's like, don't you mean take an ounce? None of the stuff he was saying made any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
But I knew what he was getting at.
Do you ever see the Saturday Night Live sketch with the metric alphabet?
No.
No.
Oh, they condense the alphabet into 10 letters and stuff. When I think a lot of the metric stuff was really in the States, was just starting to, being taught in schools and stuff like that. It
That's
was kind of funny.
Do we really need the letter C?
You could be bro.
I could just be Brock with a K.
You could. Yeah. C and K, they could be interchanged. You're right.
Because
You're right.
C is either an S sound or a K sound. So just get rid of it.
You're right. Yeah, I'm
Down
with
to
you there.
25 letters.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and get a campaign going to remove the letter C from the alphabet.
Probably get rid of the Q as well. I mean Q, and then the Q's always like, oh, but I can't go anywhere without a U. Come on.
X is definitely unnecessary.
The X is very unnecessary. Yes, yeah. Except when you're marking up a map.
Yeah, true.
But so as far as the topic there, I'll give my opinion on it. I am definitely one who feels that if everybody else is going with something and is accepting something, and there's the one holdout, like the one holdout's going like, what the heck's wrong with you? So like, to me, I'm like, why don't we just go with the metric? It will be so much, on par with everybody else. Yes, it's going to take some learning, but we just got to go ahead with it. Just got to,
It's so simple though.
So I know. I still don't know. Like sometimes, like it's 30 degrees out. I'm like, in Celsius. I'm like, how is that hot? The only thing
it's hot, right?
Yeah,
it's hot.
It's hot. Yeah,
that's freezing here.
Yeah, that's below freezing that we're used to. But funny enough, the only place I remember driving, we kind of did a big road trip. There was one state that I went to that had all the mileage in miles and kilometers. And you think it's like, you think it's a state that's like close to the border or something like that, I don't know. For some reason, Kentucky, when I went there, had all kilometers everywhere. And I was so confused of all states why Kentucky decided to go ahead with it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it was, didn't Jimmy Carter try to switch everybody to metric?
Probably, yeah. Because I think that was like that makes sense.
And
that's before our time.
And they kind of went nuts and said, no, that'll never happen. So
it hasn't happened.
They were right.
What's slowly happening is consumer companies are just slowly changing you guys metric whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Like all your pops and liters, your big bottles.
Yeah, it's always been the case, but then the cans and the small bottles are in ounces still.
Mm-hmm.
Ours are in milliliters.
Right.
365 milliliters.
Yeah.
There's 32 fluid ounces.
I mean, it makes sense because it's like, everything is, it's in series of tens versus like if you're looking at an ounce is like or pound is 16 ounces.
Yeah,
like
it's just random. There's no consistency to it at all.
Right.
Well, the reason you guys didn't switch to metric is because of pirates.
Pirates.
Yep.
How is that?
The Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah. Yeah. I always played Pittsburgh. Yeah.
You're
it's easy.
You guys were all ready to go to metric, but you had to. In France, that's where the original weights and measurements are kept.
Okay.
They're made out of like platinum or something like that. And so America ordered their models. So, we get a meter. So you actually had the meter, you actually had the kilogram and everything all set to go.
Okay.
Came over on the ship, and the ship got attacked by pirates, and the pirates took all that because they were platinum. And so because of that, America never switched to the metric system.
When was it established? Do you have a year like
the metric system? So I think sometime in the mid 1700s.
Huh. Okay.
Now, I could be wrong on that, but yeah, it was mostly the French that did it. It was a French invention, which could be another reason why America was like no.
Yeah.
1795.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like all your medicines in metric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, when you say give us 1 cc, that's just cubic centimeter.
Hmm.
What is it? All your car engines are in liters.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's
Mhm.
a
You drive
couple
a 5
things.
liter, and
Yeah.
all your photography stuff and is all your films in millimeters, and it's just a slow, gradual.
It's not fast enough. They need to speed things along.
But it's
I
funny
think
because even though in Canada, I have no idea how much I weigh in kilograms or how tall I am in centimeters, but I know what I weigh in pounds
How is that?
because I grew up i- um in my age. When we were in school, we were taught both still,
Okay.
and so when I was weighed for events and stuff like this for wrestling, we were weighed in pounds.
Okay.
And then when I hit high school, they started to switch us over. So at one point I was, 95K. And I'm like, what is 95K? I have no idea. I'm in grade 12. I'm like, I'm 95K. I don't, that's when they really started to push it on my age group,
Gotcha.
centimeters and meters, because they were like, well, you're good on everything, but we'll just keep centimeters, meters, and, you know, like your weight and your height. So, yeah, 6'6", what's that? 199 centimeters, I think, somewhere around there.
just bump it up to 200.
I would say, like, I mean, a meter and a yard are pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you're like 6 feet tall, that's pretty close to 2 meters.
It's a little past 2 meters,
A little past, yeah, okay.
or just
Or I
because
think it's a little
a
under.
meter's just a bit bigger than a
Yeah, I think a
yard.
meter is just a bit bigger than a yard. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's why they always talk about in the CFL, our
Mhm.
fields are bigger because the meter is bigger than a yard.
Right, right.
So uh, if you converted a CFL field, I think it's something like 108 yards from end to end,
108. Okay, all right.
and then it's a lot wider.
Right. I remember it was a lot wider. Yeah. So they had a couple of CFL teams in the States at one point. Um, I think in probably like the late 90s or something like that. I
Yep.
remember
They had the Baltimore Colts
Yep.
before they got hit by a cease and desist order by the NFL and had to change it to the Baltimore CFLers.
Oh, really?
And there was like the Las Vegas Posse. I can't remember all the names, but it was funny because for like 3 years, the Grey Cup was won by all American teams.
That's so funny. Wow. Just like the Stanley Cup hasn't been back in Canada since 1993. I think it was the last time when the Canadians won it.
Yeah, when the Habs won it, but that was funny because in Canada we have like the CFL, they're allowed so many import players, but America didn't have that rule, so they were just using all American players. But we have to
Oh,
have
so
like
no wonder then. Okay,
we have to have
yeah.
like 70% of our roster has to be Canadian.
It's like the
Just like
television
10%.
rules.
Yeah, just like 10% of your music has to be Nickelback.
Yeah,
No bare naked ladies in there.
and then here's a weird fact. But when Tom Brady finally retires, he closes the book on Montreal Expos because he's the last draft pick that's an athlete that is still playing because Montreal Expos drafted him in the 4th round as a catcher.
Wow.
So he's the last athlete still playing that was drafted by the Expos.
Wow, that's wild.
So they're technically their book is still open because they have a draft pick out there, and it's Tom Brady.
That's funny.
Wow, that's wild. I saw something recently kind of talking about like different draft picks and NFL guys. So like Russell Wilson was chosen by the Colorado Rockies back in whatever there, and he decided to do football instead. But instead, after Russell Wilson was picked, like a couple rounds later, was it Jacob DeGrom and Aaron Judge and like all these other
Yeah, I
like
saw that.
all-star guys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, multiple Denver teams have made awful choices by taking Russell Wilson. So.
And
Russell Wilson.
there was a lot of two-sport athletes back then, but nobody better than Bo.
No. Never.
Deion Sanders was probably the next best. Danny
Yeah.
Ainge maybe the third because he played I think NBA and Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it just kind of went downhill, and
Yeah.
now nobody does it.
Well, now that people are so specialized, you do one, kids these days, they do one sport for the whole year. You're not doing like a different sport every season these days,
Right.
at least if
I
you're,
think it was
top of.
Tom Glavine was drafted by the I can't remember who, but somebody drafted him in the NHL. I think maybe the Kings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he was a double draft pick. So, but we should. You got any shout outs there, Todd?
Let's see. Any shout outs? I don't know. Well, I'll shout out to Sam and Mike from the Roll Up podcast. Not that Mike is always on there, but hopefully we'll have him on more soon. I know this is probably not going in right away, but we're we have a podcast with 5 mics coming up pretty soon, which will be fun. including the one on here, so that'll be fun.
Have to give everyone code names too.
Yeah. Well, luckily everybody's got a different their last names start with a different letter, so at least I have that that option there. So
I still think that's going to get confusing.
Oh, it absolutely will. We basically ribbed ourselves on that one. So
I'm looking forward to that.
I had one job where in one area all 5 of us worked. We had 5 guys working in one station, and we were all Mike.
Yeah.
And so they had to come up with nicknames for us all.
Yeah.
And so I went to the one guy, and he's like, well, he goes, what do you want to be called? And I'm like, oh, just call me Big Mike. And he goes, but I'm Big Mike. I'm like, well, how big are you? And he goes, I'm 6'2", 320 pounds. I'm like, well, I'm 6'6", 280, so I'm Big Mike, and you're Fat Mike.
Nice.
I never have that problem.
You don't have too many Brocs. What's weird is like I never meet other Todds, but I had one like communication class in college, and for some reason in this class of like 20 people, there was 4 Todds, and like I've never run into Todds except for this one class, and we were like, a quarter of the class was Todds.
That's funny.
Yeah, I got the most popular name in the world.
You do. You absolutely do.
Especially if you add all the translations, like Muhammad is Mike.
Oh, okay.
Miguel.
I guess John would be up there too, right? Because the different things with translations that's got biblical and stuff.
Miguel and Mikkel and
yeah.
So biblical names.
I only know one other Brock, BROC, and I met him through this game.
Brock Riblet.
Yep.
And Brock Riblet, yeah.
The only other one I know. The rest have a K, but the C is unnecessary, so we're getting rid of it. I guess on that note, we can wrap things up here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, watching, listening, however you consume our show. Thank you. If you have not yet, please click the subscribe button. Give us a like if you enjoyed what you heard. Down below in the description, you'll find several links, including the Roll Up podcast that Todd just mentioned. You'll find a link there for that. The Filsinger Games fan podcast from Grant, Uncharted Territory from the Legends team, Lee Longpre's Dizzy Dice. Over on YouTube, we have Solo Promoter, also from Grant. Dave Littlesfed is here, Heartland Wrestling. After further review, myself and a couple others on Twitch are listed there. And you got all the social media stuff below that. If you have any Filsinger Games related content you'd like us to share in our description, please let one of us know. We'd be happy to include you as well. And yeah, that's about all I've got.
Yeah, I was going to say we're up to 108 subscribers.
Very nice.
Nice.
And our number 1 episode, 205 views.
All right.
So everyone gave us a chance on that first episode, and they said, nah.
Number 1 is 205, and number 2 is 103. So we got 2 in the triple digits now.
I think you need to bring the wives back. Yeah, that was a good one there.
That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to happen. We've been discussing it.
Okay, good.
Good times. Thanks again, Todd. We appreciate having you here. Glad to have you back for sure.
Absolutely. Always happy to talk chaos. Like the one thing I'll mention to kind of leave on, like my first ever Galacticon, the first ever tournament I went into, I was lucky enough to draw chaos. And then that just kind of set me up for Galacticons to come, winning my first tournament with chaos. And he'll always have a soft spot in my heart after that.
Nice. Rigged.
Yeah, I won a tournament with the very first chaos. So the first tournament that chaos was entered in.
Yeah.
Tom ripped up a bunch of numbers, 1 through 32, and he goes like, "Mike, pick a number." And I'm like, "Pick a number." He goes, "Number 1." He goes, "You got first pick." I'm like, "I'm going to pick chaos," and I won the tournament. So chaos's very first tournament, I won. Now it's not a big shock. Like I said, I probably won between 40 and 60 tournaments. So
yes. And Dr. Death Steve Williams is not in there to take him out like he did Monolith.
No, this was pre-Doc, and
we need Doc.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you all next time.
Good night, Kentucky.
I don't have anything. I wasn't prepared. Good night, Wisconsin. That was for Jeff and Josh.
Good night, Austin. That's where Denmark's moved to.
That's right. They have Lego in Austin. They didn't have it in Denmark. That's a running joke we have. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.